All right, welcome back. We have a lot to talk about, and it's not just Memorial by all means. All right, we go from the Colonial to the Memorial. We still have a major to look at. We still have some big stuff to look at down the line, but we can't even move forward to the Memorial Tournament without looking back. Now, normally when we look back, it's not to celebrate a 100-1 outright ticket. But who am I to get in the way of Ben Raza here? Because if I keep going on and on, he'll stop me and be like, are we going to talk about the fact that of all people he hit, not just, all right, this is a parlay of Ben will tell you parlays in golf don't work, but they did for Ben. They did for Ben. The parlay of circumstances in this case. Grillo, a man who he refused to quit, no matter how many people out there, who warned him, who told him, stay away, move on, find greener pastures, and the 100-1 odds that he found. Ben, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So let's get back to reality.
We don't have any audio here. Oh,
it was
great job.
A pseudo decade in the making. The first question I got from more than one person is, are you even up lifetime on Grillo outrights? Right. And that's a fair question. I don't even know the answer at this point. Couple things that were very fortunate. One, I caught him at 100-1. He was about 75-1 heading into Thursday. I caught the best number out there. I was really fortunate about that. You know, all the breaks that he got in the tournament and that. And listen, you saw the show last week. We talked about a lot of guys. If you told me who was going to win the tournament, would I have said Grillo? Absolutely not. That is something that I really believe in. And we talk about on Odd Chopper Golf. It doesn't mean you back your guys forever and ever. But there are certain guys that I stick with. And Grillo was one of them. I've played him a ton over the years. And you know what? It does just prove that eventually, for a lot of guys, you do get paid off. And I couldn't be happier to cash that ticket. I appreciate all the support out there as well. I got a ton of messages from Putting for Dough viewers. Nice. And that made it even sweeter.
Look at that. See? So another reminder here to hang with us every week. You never know what you're going to miss. You have an opportunity to talk deeper about what we're doing on the Discord. We also have some opportunities for you to jump in. We'll tell you about Bet365 coming up for sure. But, I mean, today is about celebrating as well as looking ahead, because you're only as good as your last ticket. And in this sport, it's easy to forget. Now, with your set of circumstances that you have with Grillo and that large ticket, not many will forget by all means. But we do have Memorial. Was there anything else really to take away? I mean, I think
the end of that tournament was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and I've seen everything.
You've seen a lot.
I didn't know what a viaduct was, had to Google that. I didn't know these idiots on TV are saying that he can swing at the moving ball. Yeah, that made a lot of sense. That's what he's going to do. It was just, I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, he did cost me a lot of money because I hedged really hard in the playoff.
Did you win share that? Do you get a win share in the playoff?
What do you mean?
Like, does it go down as a tie in the win share because they both finished top?
No.
Mike Grillo. Okay.
No. So, it was...
The shadiness would not, like points, but, like one of these small books doing some shit.
No,
like
it was literally like I can leave it, and if Shank wins the playoff, I lose.
Right.
Or I can, and I at that point was so just...
Oh, you had to hedge, man.
I had to. Thank you.
No.
There's no coming back from
for you. Right. Yeah. Let me say it. You had no choice.
No choice.
Right. But to do that.
Like, there's no coming back from that if he loses.
No. Like, I've lost my opportunity to hedge on the Golden Knights, right? I'm just going to ride this Panthers ticket to death because it's minus territory there. So I chose not to. You had no choice. You had to.
I missed. Right. I mean, I could have hedged when he was in full control, and it would have been the simplest hedge of all time. I missed that and paid for it. But you know what? We carry some real good momentum into the Memorial, which is a fantastic tournament. I love this tournament.
It is. It's an elevated event. You've got 40 of the top 50. You've got a $20 million purse. We have seen some rotation here over the past couple of years, but ultimately, I think the approach, even though the means to the end may be different at times, I think the approach is pretty much similar here, Ben. So let's look at this, right? We're at Muirfield. We understand what goes into winning here, as we've seen history, but at the same time, you also want to take advantage of somebody who may be just playing so well that the ultimate course fit or horse for course, what have you, doesn't just jump out. Let's look at the course first, and then we can kind of dive into some of our top plays and bounce around.
Beautiful thing about this is you just mentioned Muirfield. Like Muirfield Village, we know what we're getting. It's at Jack's place. It's a test. R72, bent grass. It's a tough ask. You got to know what you're doing. Firm greens, pretty damn fast, and that's putting it mildly. Kind of that all-around game. You got to be a good player to win here, and if you don't know what you're doing off the tee, it's going to be a long day. So I don't think it's a gimmicky course where it's like,
right,
it's a putting competition or it's a iron, it's a flag hunting competition. No, you just need to play well. It's a major mentality. You better gain off the tee. You're going to have to roll it. You're going to make mistakes. You got to minimize your bogeys, minimize your doubles. We're going to see big time names at the top of the board this week.
Absolutely. And it's not just because of the purse, which is a huge help here, right? But the elevated event drawing, as I mentioned, 40 of the top 50. It's going to be really difficult. This is one of the most special, if you take away majors, right? And really like top end tournaments, this is probably 1A behind majors and what you get. PGA, we know. I mean, there's some players, I should say, we understand what that top level is. And then this is right there. And some of it is the elevated event drawing people with the purse, but it's also making it a little more difficult, but way more rewarding to find guys now, even in the mid-range. And we'll talk about a couple, but look at guys in that 35 to 45 when we start to, Ben, and you'll see, all right, a lot of this just weighted down due to the field, not because of their names, not because of their inability to beat those names, if that makes sense.
So it's the blessing and a curse. That's how I at least describe it. Having Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm in a tournament is fantastic for everybody else because of the prices you can get on Morikawa's and Justin Thomas's and those type of players. It's unbelievable. Now, the problem is Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm win these tournaments a lot. And when they win, everybody else loses in the outright market. So it's that risk you're willing to take. If Scheffler and Rahm do not win this tournament, you could make an argument that basically any other guy that you bet, if you knew those two weren't going to win, could be a plus EV spot because the odds are that good without them. It's just, can we beat Scheffler and Rahm? 6 and 7 to 1, not going there. And even Cantlay's 10 to 1, which is fascinating.
Okay, so let me make this isn't even an argument because I don't even know if you like him on your card at 10 to 1 or if you think you can play something like matchups. Again, if I get a matchup opportunity, especially plus money for Rahm and Scheffler, a reminder, check the Odd Shopper premium tool. We have those available for you, but I would jump on that. Here's my just small little statement to you, Ben, okay? Because I want you to take this and run with it, please, like you do. But Cantlay has won here. Cantlay loves this place. I understand that this hasn't been the typical expectation week in and week out for Patrick Cantlay, but it's almost like because Scheffler and Rahm on one hand are in this, it's going to weight him down just a little bit to 10 to 1. And there's just no way, even with Xander, who's definitely gearing up for the U.S. Open without a doubt, but even with Xander, he's not going to be Patrick Cantlay 12 to 1. Like, he's not going to have, with his history here, he's not going to have the same odds as both Rory and Xander. So I understand that you can make an argument for Xander probably well over Cantlay, but I still think there's a little, even if it's a little value at 10 to 1 for a guy who is just beating the two favorites with the course history and expectation that wouldn't put him in that same category as Rory and Xander.
So, I mean, I get what you're saying. Obviously, he loves this course. Ton of success here, wins here. He's in kind of it's not no man's land because all the odds are very bunched, but it kind of is to me because he's not Scheffler and Rahm. They are on a different planet right now, but he should be shorter odds than Rory and Xander just because of A, how he's playing, and B, his history here. So I get why he falls where he does. I'm not going to fault anybody, but 10 to 1 is a little thin for me. This is a tough field. Cantlay's playing good golf. There's no doubt. His expectations this year and every year for himself, I'm assuming, and certainly for the public, is win majors. He could win the Memorial 10 years in a row, and if he doesn't win a major, no one's going to care. I find myself starting my card more in the next tier, Collin Morikawa being one of them. You hovered over him. He was second here. He's been close. His putters let him down a ton. His irons are still the best in the game. The number is fair. Muirfield Village is a good course for him. He's been uneventfully fine, 26th, 29th, stuff like that. But I look at him, I think he's a lot closer than how he scored. He had a couple blow-up holes last week, even at the PGA. I thought he played fine. I'm okay with this at 22. I think you can go to him and a couple other guys and omit the first 5 if you want to be aggressive.
No problem with that. Had Morikawa in a matchup that didn't pan out. But again, going back to him, no issue there. No pushback on that. You mentioned the putting woes. That's just at 95% of the places, that's going to bite you unless you can at least just fix it. Look, and maybe here, as far as a place where you mentioned the irons don't phase by any means, those are as consistent as it gets. Even if you just right the ship, you don't need to dominate on the green. You just can't lose strokes, and you can't have that undo a hole or a round. So I'm with you there. There's nobody that I had ahead of him. I know Victor Hovland, it seems like a broken record for me. And one of these days, we're just going to omit him, and he's going to win. And we're going to be like, this mother. I saw earlier in the day, and I probably should just direct people to your best bet, right? Because you do have thoughts on Justin Thomas.
I do. And so Justin Thomas, and it's funny. It's on this channel. You can go check that out. I'll give you a little snippet. I said I didn't bet him in the outright market, and I'm not sure that I'm going to. I'm not against it. I think JT is poised to play very well here. I do. I like him in that top 20. I like him in that top 10 market. Again, you want to shop those lines, but I think he's in range. He's got the irons. He's got the around the green. The putting comes and goes. He's got some top 10 finishes at Memorial. He's got some missed cuts at Memorial. He lost 8.5 strokes putting last time he was here. That's a recipe for disaster. But I want to pass it right back to you.
Yes.
There's a lot of guys between 28 and 40 that I think you could make a case for. Is there a name or two that you're kind of saying, all right, let me put this guy on lock before this tournament begins?
Yes, there are 2 guys, and they both sit in this 35-1 range. So if you don't have anybody below 35-1, I'll move down. Is that fair? Unless you're going to throw.
I think Justin Thomas is a fine target again, but
not outright.
But no, prefer him more in matchups and things of that nature.
All right. Shockingly, it's not.
Jackie.
Shockingly, it's not going to be. All right. I want you to close your eyes and your ears.
No.
Look. This is. Hold on a second. He has played well here before, and he's playing well now. And there is still hesitation to buy into Ricky Fowler. But if he's back in any form here, especially at Memorial, at Muirfield, like, why wouldn't you take a shot at him at 35-1? I get it. Like, it's probably fair, and he probably doesn't dip as much, even if you do take a couple of these top guys out. But even with the benefit of having a Rahm and Scheffler weigh this thing down, why not take a shot 35-1 at Ricky Fowler? And look, I think Cam Young might be one of the few exceptions of a guy who can just overpower a lot of these holes. You mentioned that this is not a gimmick course. You're not going to need to go into your bag and find shots that you only play once or twice a year here. If Cam Young can putt consistently, and if Cam Young can just get himself in a good spot to score, this guy has the power, I think, to play through a lot of areas that maybe do trip up some of the shorter. I don't even mean like short golfers. I just mean shorter than Cam. So I think from a power standpoint, I'd look at a guy like Young, and from trying to get ahead of this wave, which I get it, may not be here, but looks at least like it's coming. Ricky Fowler, both at 35-1. You asked.
Okay. I'll take them one by one. I have no Cam Young. Elite rarefied air off the tee game. We've seen it. We saw it at an Open Championship. He can overpower courses. Is he a complete golfer? I would say no.
No, and I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's got some holes. He's gonna have to mask it. Kind of like Hovland in some ways. Hovland's closer, definitely closer. But Cam Young at 35. Ricky Fowler was on my list. Love him this week. Bet him this week. I want to be honest though. I think 35 is a pretty shitty number. I saw 45 out there. I've seen 40. I'm fine with that. I don't think I can do it at 35. If you want to and you missed it, I think Ricky is really close. He stumbled at the PGA. He rebounded very nicely last week. Good course for him. Make sure you shop this number and try to find 40 or better.
Yeah, great call because we're doing this here early in the week. You definitely
Exactly.
can find in shop lines. Absolutely. Okay. Now we've got a couple of names in here. So we can start to kind of merge, if
Oh
you
boy.
will, where it gets
It drops off a
okay.
cliff. Look at this.
Exactly, exactly. So we should almost combine the mid-range and long shot here, and then see if there's anything smaller that you'd like to play. So let's do that. Like, is there anybody that you would take a shot at? You know, I feel like every time we mention Sahith, it's getting into this Maverick McNeely territory. Although I believe in the former much more than the latter about it's going to happen. It's going to happen. 50-1. I don't necessarily love that number. I do see Gary up there. Here's one. Here's one. Here's one. Unless you, whoa. I mean,
No, no, please.
let's just get first off before I say anything. Let's just get this out of the way. Back-to-back wins for Grillo.
I mean, it's obviously I'm betting him. There's no doubt about it. He likes Memorial. He's playing great golf.
This would be amazing.
All
Like
right,
you
that
have
would be
like if he hit 2 6-digit, like come on, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, this is not Colonial. This is not Colonial Field. This is a whole different ball game. But I think him and Benyon are fine targets. Better at
Yes,
8.5.
that's the guy I was looking at too.
8.5 to 1 for top tens. Okay, that's a pretty damn good number. 110 to 1 to win a tournament, sure, but come on, it's a big ask for some of these guys to actually win this tournament.
It is. And I would throw one guy in here who I think has a good opportunity.
Oh yeah, I got one on this list right now.
Did you see it?
Oh yeah.
I was trying to get to him before
Where are you going?
Look,
are you going to Ches?
No. I think top 20 is in order here, but do not be surprised if you talk about a fit for this course. Do not be surprised if you see Joseph Bramlett hover again. Top 20 would be what I would look at, but I'm just giving you the odds here. 18 to 1 for a top 10. Ridiculous, right? 300 to 1 shot to win it, but off the green, approach, around the green, scoring on par fives, Bramlett can get this done to compete, is all I'm saying. To hover is all I'm saying. And I don't mean hover to win. I mean make the cut and hover in the top 20.
Showing some flashes for sure. Irons are very, very solid. I always find it amazing when we get down here. Like, do you find, maybe this is just a me thing, like they are saying, and I get it, that Hovland, Cantlay, Xander, Scheffler, Ron, they're all more likely to win the tournament by a good amount than Bramlett is to top 10. Like you get better odds on the top 10 for this guy than you do the outrights on on the top end golfers.
Which is insane. And I think what that says, it is. But think about this. Like what outside of maybe racing, auto racing, like what other sport could you actually make that argument? But speaking to the level in which both Rahm and Scheffler are playing right now, like this is not an easy game. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how long you've been playing. I don't care how long you've been on the tour. This is not an easy game. So with all of that said, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, in fact, Scheffler and Rahm are probably spot on with their odds because they've found a way to dominate at that level. But it is hilarious that Bramlett is 3 times less likely to finish top 10 than Scheffler or Rahm is to win.
It's crazy. But
3 times. All right, who's your last guy here? Sorry.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Bez. There he is, 150, 25 to 1, 10 to 1. This guy, he's got the right formula. Irons, putting, get hot, sink it up. We've seen that be effective. It can be effective. He's been very good. He's made 5 of 6 cuts. Worst finish in those made cuts is a 28th. A lot of like 13th, 15th, 18th. Gaining with the irons, has gained 6 straight events. Is a good putter objectively. Is he good enough to string it together? I don't know. But you're talking about plus money, as you can see right there. You're in the top 20 markets. Like you're looking at the top 40 markets as well. Plus money. I'm pretty interested in this guy. Like I really am. When you look at that, like this is asking him, can he make the cut and just not really crumble on the weekend? I'm going to say yes. So again, Odd Chopper Premium. Link is below for your 7-day free trial. ton of sports on there, obviously, and there is some PGA and the ability to shop. We're actually adding some really exciting stuff on PGA, but I do want to mention that right now because you really want to look at these type of numbers. You're going to find wild discrepancies across the books. Best numbers available. I think you go to them. For a guy like Bez, for me, I'm going to wheel him this week. I really like him.
That. I like that. Look, you've got plus 175 for Grillo, top 30.
Of course.
You know, you can definitely play off of that. Just looking to see if there's anybody else that we mentioned here that makes sense from a plus money. I mean, look, Morikawa, 105, top 20. Shop. We always tell you to shop, but plus 140 for Fowler, 150 for Young. These are top 20s here.
Yeah.
So they make a lot of sense. And look, push it, right? Push it. Take a guy like Benny On. Take him at plus 330. Pardon me, not Cam Davis. Benny On, right? Don't take Cam Davis. Cam Young.
He's playing well, but don't.
He is. And Bez, like, take these guys. Shit, take a shot on Bramlett. I told you. You know, look at this. He's 6.5 to 1 to finish top 20. That is insane. He has longer odds to finish top 20 than Scotty Scheffler does to win.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if you'll see that.
It's the nature of the beast with these elite players right now. And Memorial is I'd say a highly correlated tournament. Like, if you know what you're doing here, you tend to play well year after. Yeah. Like, you see repeat winners at Memorial. It's not a random event by any stretch. So I get it. I totally get it. But there's money to be made in not just the outright markets. These other markets with guys that are probably overmatched, you're going to see some of them on the first couple pages of the leaderboard. And I'm more excited about them than even a Morikawa this week.
Awesome stuff, man. All right. Major just around the corner. You're getting ready, gearing up for the U.S.
LA Country Club.
Can't wait. We got to talk about Xander, man. He might be live to win this thing out there.
I mean, he's always live, and then he never wins.
This is the year. Maybe.
It's the same thing I complain about every time with a major. It's like, oh, Brooks, he's going to get 5 more. Rahm's got to get 5 more. Rory's going to break. There's 30 guys. This is so competitive out there. And Xander and Cantlay and Hovland, Cam Young, Tony Finau, hunt to get 1.
Wait a second. You know, no Michael Block this week. What happened?
Yeah,
what happened? No Block?
Generational wealth spot, and I missed it.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, at JazzRaz DFS, at Shander Show, we told you about the Odd Chopper Premium Tool. Jump on that. We'll give you a week free. Jump on Bet365. Your first bet, you'll get $200 back instantly. 21 or older, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Build a 15-leg parlay and just put a buck on it. If it hits, it hits. If it loses, you'll get $200 back either way. So
I'm sorry. I want to tell the people, because sadly, I'm not in those. You got to be in New Jersey, Colorado, Virginia, or Ohio. Those are the lucky states that have Bet365 available, and it's a great opportunity. One of the best betting books out there. I cannot wait till they make it to the NY, but not yet.
All right. Well, Ben, we'll see you next week, my friend. Go Grillo.
Go Grillo.